Hello everyone, I'm Adam with AEW Maine Treasure Adventures. Today, we're going to look at another hidden gem in Acadia National Park. There isn't a lot of people that know about this place, even the locals that have lived here a long time. We started off the day by jumping on the Island Explorer at the Village Green and getting off at the first stop at Eagle Lake. So let's get right into this. From the bus stop, walk towards Eagle Lake down the tarred road. Once you hit the carriage path, turn left and walk or ride a bike about halfway up the left side of Eagle Lake. On today's adventure, we are going back in time, back to 1909. I'll tell you and show you how to get to the stone foundation on Eagle Lake to experience it for yourself. Make sure if you bring any youngsters out here, or anybody for that matter, don't let them, or you, climb all over the stone foundation or destroy it in any way. This is history. It should be seen, learned from, and not vandalized. I've been coming out here for about 37 years, since a couple of friends and I stumbled across it while out exploring on our bikes. We decided to walk through the woods down to the water. We found a number of old relics in the woods, like a metal bucket, old pipes, and some old car parts. Then we saw hidden in the woods a partial stone foundation with 3 large stone arches facing the water. At that moment, we thought we just discovered the Holy Grail, or the Temple of Doom. We watched a lot of Indiana Jones back in the day, okay? Don't hold that against me. This has been referred to as the cottage at Eagle Lake, or the old stone foundation, or the only house ever to be attempted to be built out by the town's water supply. Did you know that Eagle Lake wasn't always called by its current name? Over the years, it has undergone a few name changes. One of the names was Young's Pond. Years later, the lake became known as Great Pond, but in the middle of the 19th century, the name of the lake once again changed after Frederick Edwin Church, one of the early rusticators, spotted an eagle soaring over the lake. From that day forward, the lake would be called Eagle Lake. I'll speed up some of the walking so we can get there and spend some more time around the foundation. Then we will talk about how and why this is here. Also why the house was never finished or lived in. A few years ago, supposedly, a piece of old paper was found here. On the sheet of old paper was a poem that reads, "Here beneath the arches old lie the remains of Mary Rhine-Mold, who built this shrine to mourn a lover's lost on the night of the harvest moon. To this day, the locals believe he turned into a loon, and you can hear him sing if you sleep beneath these arches." I don't know how legit the note is, and I don't have any reason to believe it's original or really happened here, as no one by that name had anything to do with building this foundation or this property, but it's still a pretty cool story. To get here, there are 3 ways to locate the hidden path to the stone arches. I'll put all 3 ways in the description. The first way is by GPS. I've put in the coordinates for the unmarked path and the location of the stone arches. The second is the path that this video will show. From the Eagle Lake boat landing, walk on the left side of the lake along the Carriage Road until you come to a retaining wall that is sunk into the left-hand side of the Carriage Road. There is only one such retaining wall on that side of the lake, and just before the retaining wall is a dry drainage ditch. A couple feet before the drainage ditch, on the right-hand side of the road, is the path. Once you locate it, follow it to the stone foundation. The third way to the site is to begin by Bubble Pond. Park and cross the road and follow the Carriage Road to Eagle Lake. At the first intersection, turn right and follow the Carriage Road, which will come to a bridge. Not far after the bridge, you will come to the retaining wall, but from this direction, it will be on the right-hand side of the road. Follow the retaining wall until you reach the other end. Just ahead will be a narrow drainage ditch. A couple feet past the drainage ditch, look for a path in the woods on the left-hand side of the road. Follow it to the stone foundation. After this video is finished, feel free to check out some of the Hidden Gems videos that I've already put out, like the ovens, tilting rock, the bear den, the shipwreck of the Tay. They can be found in the Bar Harbor playlist. This location was built in 1909 by a family who spent their summers here on vacation. They decided to purchase some land and begin the construction along the edge of the lake of their dream home by the water. The building was on the east shore of Eagle Lake. This worried some of the people that this might start a building boom around the lake and have a negative impact on the town's drinking water. Luckily, a few things slowed the process down, like legal action was taken against the home builders to cease construction, and then the family failed to get permission from the town of Bar Harbor to build near the lake. All of this to go along with the concerns that were raised about the town's drinking water supply becoming contaminated. George B. Dorr even got involved. This was before he became known as the father of Acadia National Park. He went out and talked to the family to convince them not to build there. Dorr, around the same time, was working with the powers to be in Augusta to help put together legislation that would forever protect certain bodies of water on Mount Desert Island, such as Eagle Lake, Bubble Pond, and Jordan Pond. Okay, here is the path that leads down to the stone foundation. Let's go check this hidden gem out. Not long after, the legislation passed, and those waters were protected from future development. The plans for the foundation was to build a cottage, which was planned to be built along the midway point, not too far from the line of the Green Mountain Railroad, which is now Cadillac Mountain. The contractor for this project was E.K. Whitaker. While the plans were submitted, the cottage, as proposed, will be of 2 stories, containing 2 bathrooms, and will cost about $7,000. It will be within 20 feet of the lake, on a ledge that has a sharp pitch to the lake. There was still the strong objection to the cottage for the sufficient reason that the purity of the water of the lake, from which comes the town of Eden's water supply, could be affected. The water supply here is noted for its purity. It was believed at the time this was one of the largest lakes in the world that furnishes such pure water. It was also said at the time the water is one of Bar Harbor's greatest drawing features, and any injury to it or suggestion of an injury would be a grievance blow at the prosperity of the community. There always seems to be some people in every community who are unwise enough to be willing to kill the goose that lays the golden egg. But it's safe to say that in the present instance, some law will be found that will prevent the drainage from this cottage into the lake and the contamination of the water supply that means so much to the people of Bar Harbor. Finally, after a lot of back and forth, the family that was building this cottage in question sold the rights to the property, but it cost the water company about 3 times what it was worth at the time. The company did not have condemnation rights for the shore, and any owner could up the price by threatening to build. At this point, the Hancock County trustees who had been acquiring land for a park on the island, were asked to help. They managed to get a bill through legislation allowing condemnation, and the water company then directed them to acquire all land within the drainage basin of the lake. The water company spent $65,000 buying the land and got all of it except some at the north end. This ended the major threat of contamination of the town's water supply. About the only activity which took place after that, at the lake, except recreation, was at the Brewer Ice House on the North Shore. The ice house was built by D.W. Brewer and operated into the 1940s. As you can see, the elaborate stonework of the foundation is still visible today. You can even see the drill marks in some of the stones in the foundation wall. Ever wonder how they cut the huge pieces of granite stones that are all over Acadia National Park, lining the roads, carriage paths, trails? You can also see a lot of these stones used for private homes and the ocean wall lining the shoreline. It's called feather and wedge, also known as plug and feather, plugs and wedges, wedges and shims, pins and feathers, and feather and tar. They all refer to the technique and a three-piece tool set used to split stone. The history of breaking rocks go way back. Variations of the feather and wedge method have been used since ancient Egyptian times. In New England, the plug and feather technique is first mentioned around 1790. Most state and national parks in the U.S. have stone lining the roads. This method was used to get the huge rocks down to the manageable size. The tool set consists of a metal wedge, the plug, and two metal shims, the feathers. The feathers are wide at the bottom, tempered and curved at the top. Multiple sets of plugs and feathers are typically used to split a single large piece of stone. The stone is first examined to determine the direction of the grain. A number of holes are then cut or drilled into the stone face along the scoring line, approximately 10 to 20 centimeters apart. Feather and wedges are inserted in the holes, with the ears of the feathers facing the direction of the desired split. The plugs are then struck with a hammer in sequence. This will split the rock down to a more manageable size. Around this same area, I have a number of old hidden gems that I'll show off in some future videos. Some examples are the old Green Mountain Railroad, now Cadillac Mountain, the water tower, water storage areas that got the water to the town of Eden originally, then Bar Harbor. And we will talk about the steamer called Wawinette. It is at the bottom of Eagle Lake. I will put a bunch of maps that show the location and the direction of travel to get there, and explore the old stone foundation at Eagle Lake. Next week, we will be back diving and doing underwater metal detecting to clean out the waterways of anything that shouldn't be there. And of course, look for any treasures. Until the next adventure, AEW out.